Do you want to create attractive and interactive dashboards in Locker Studio, but don't know where to start? In this video, we'll guide you step by step to design your first dashboard with real data in under 15 minutes using Dataslayer. But then what we're going to do is log into Dataslayer to see how the connection of all the sources works. Let's take a look. All right, once we're here, the next thing we need to do is go to this point in the lower left corner of the screen where we can see all the tools we can connect to. Connecting each one of them is super easy. In fact, just so you can see, I'm going to disconnect one and reconnect it, for example, Google My Business, just to show you. Here, I just remove it, and to connect it, you just need to click on Add Account, choose to log in with Google or Facebook or whatever tool is needed, and it would be connected right away. Today, it's simple. All right, now let's present the option of problem, right? The need of a company. I have a company that has a website, so it has good traffic, and it has an Instagram profile and a LinkedIn page. For that, we have the One Analytics accounts connected, and we also have the Instagram Insights accounts and the LinkedIn page connected. That said, let's go to our report in Locker Studio. And first, we're going to add data. We're looking for our slider here. Everything is pretty quick. But if at any point I see any kind of loading that might take longer than expected, I'll pause it so that everything can be more agile and you can get to the content. All right, once we're inside, select our hub. All right, once our hub comes up, it shows us the accounts I have access to with this profile. For privacy reasons, I'll pause it. Let's click on Add. We'll just wait for this data source to be added to our Locker Studio report. Once that's done, we add it. Now we have it. We close this here, and it's already added. Now, next thing we're going to do is go back to adding data, meaning we're going to focus first on having all the data before making any reports. So now we look for Dataslayer, and in this case, we said the next point would be Instagram Insights. We wait for it to load, for it to connect us with Dataslayer. We select our hub, and we click Next. As you can see, everything is pretty smooth, quite simple, pretty fast. That's a good idea here, since none of us like to complicate our lives twice. Once we've connected to our hub, we select the account. With the account selected, we click Add Again to add this source to ports. Initially, we set everything up and have all data. We add data, look for Dataslayer, and the next step is a LinkedIn page. This is something we have to do once. It's not something we need to do every time, but you know, the first time we have to set everything up and have all the data here. And finally, we're going to add data again. We look for Dataslayer again, and we said the next step would be a LinkedIn page. The same process will be exactly like the previous ones. Here, in this case, it's going to connect to our hub. And right now, what it's doing is accessing our hub and loading all the LinkedIn pages that I have access to. Once it's loaded, we select the account and finally click Add. We wait for it to load. And finally, we have everything loaded here. Now we're going to start generating graphs. But first, let's create a first graph. We'll delete this default time series that was created for us. In this case, it's going to be Google Analytics 4, and we're going to set the dimension to date and the field to sessions. And we'll let it load. Perfect, we would have it. The next step would be to add a graph. For example, we're going to create a table, and in this case, we're going to do it for Instagram, and we're going to do it in a bit of a peculiar way, but just so we can see the data a little better. For example, let's look at the image, which would be the media thumbnail. In this case, we're going to set it up this way, and you'll see why in a moment. Are we going to stretch it? Look, here we have the thumbnails, and we're going to give it a bit of style. For example, let's set it to show 5 per page. That way, it's much more visually appealing than what we're seeing here. Okay? In this case, a little bit bigger. And this one also a little bit bigger. A little bit bigger. Perfect. We have it. All right, what else are we going to do here? In style, we're going to remove the row numbers at the top since they don't really add anything for us. We're making this bigger, as we said, and now we're going to put a series of metrics that interest us. For example, let's add the media reach here, and we'll put the media here. So we have the media reach and media likes in this case, okay? What else could we add here? Well, the next thing we can do is make the page a bit bigger. In this case, we're going to make it longer so that we can fit the LinkedIn widget, for example. With LinkedIn, we can create another table. We can do 1,000 things. We're just talking a bit about examples here. We select the LinkedIn option and we can add the content image. Let's wait for it to load. What other little things could we put here? All right, so the next thing we can do is make the page a bit bigger. In this case, we're going to make it longer so that we can fit the LinkedIn widget. For example, with LinkedIn, we can create another table. We can do 1,000 things. We're just talking a bit about examples here. We select the LinkedIn option and we can add the content image. Let's wait for it to load. While this is loading, we can also add a small logo that we have prepared. Something quite neutral like this one here. Let's see. Your company, you'll understand that here you'll put your company logo. And here we're going to add a control, in this case, a filter by period to make it dynamic. All right, we have the content loaded here, as you can see. Now let's also set it to show the first 5, okay? While this is loading, let's also add a small logo that we have prepared, something quite neutral like this one here. Let's see. Your company, you'll understand that here you'll put your company logo. And here we're going to add a control. In this case, a filter by period to make it dynamic. All right, we have the contents loaded here, as you can see. Let's also set it to show the first 5. Okay, the first 2, whatever we want. And now that we have it live, we click here to see. In this case, I want to filter just for November. So we click apply. And now we can see how the data changes. Oh, I forgot to give it a title. Right, it's always important, but well, now we've just finished it. Well, we see the sharing, and with this I would say that we would have it ready. Obviously, this is going to be a very basic, very small dashboard. We could add countless things, but here I could mention the power of the Dataslayer tool and how in just about 10 to 15 minutes we've connected the sources and created a dashboard. While it loads, we can say, well, this is the demo report. And we could directly share it with the public by copying the link. Now, if I open this link, I copied in an incognito tab. We can see our demo report. Okay, so the person in question can view it. Here we see how everything has changed, reflecting the data for November. So, I hope this video has been, as always, helpful and useful for you. And we'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for your attention.